Hello, this is Pastor T with an answer to Ask the Pastor. Today's question is, will we know our loved ones when we get to heaven? Gladly, I can say the answer to that question is yes. There are three proofs for that in the Word of God. The death rate in the world is still sitting at 100%. No matter how long we live, the fact is, as long as the Lord delays His coming, everyone that is born in the world will eventually die. But I'm so glad to report that those of us that go to heaven have the blessed privilege of knowing that when we get to heaven, we will see our loved ones again and we will know who they are. In the Word of God, there's a story about the rich man that dies and he goes to hell. It's found in Luke chapter number 17. In that story, the rich man dies and he's able to peer into the place of paradise, or Abraham's bosom. And he looks and he sees Lazarus, the man that he's denied so many years from providing food. And he looks and he begs of Abraham, Abraham, please ask Lazarus to give me some water. Now in this, we see that there's something strange. Number one, he's able to look and he sees Abraham and knows who he is. So there is recognition. He's able also to know who Lazarus is. But it goes on in the story. He's also able to ask for a message to be sent to his brothers. He says to Abraham, look, I'm able to see that my brothers are not here. Please send a message to my brothers and tell them don't come here. And so we recognize the fact that he knows where he is and he knows it's not a good place. And he knows his brothers are not where he is, and he knows his brothers are not where Abraham and Lazarus are. So there's identification and recognition. But that's not the only story that gives us insight. Secondly is the story of Jesus on the Mount of Transfiguration. There in that blessed and beautiful story is Jesus and his disciples, Peter, James, and John. He takes them for an intimate moment up on the mountain, and as he's communing there with them, two other men appear with him, Moses and Elijah. Those two great Old Testament, the great Old Testament leader Moses and Elijah the prophet, show up and appear with Jesus as the Shekinah glory of God is shining through him. The disciples stand there in awe and wonder. But here's the interesting thing. They know exactly who these men are. They have died years ahead. Elijah has been translated and has been taken away on a chariot into heaven. Moses has been buried. Angels have served as his pallbearers, and God has served as his eulogist. So they have never seen these men before, but they know exactly who they are. As a matter of fact, it's such a wonderful moment for them. Peter asks Jesus, he says, Lord, allow us to build 3 tabernacles, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. Then there's the third evidence that we have in the Word of God, and that shows up in John chapter 20. And it's that wonderful moment after Jesus' resurrection, where Mary has gone to the tomb and she's now ready to anoint the body of Jesus for the final burial, and the stone has been rolled away. And in dismay and in disbelief, she's crying and weeping, wondering where the body of the Lord is. And finally, he calls out to her, Mary. And she asks, do you know where they've taken my Lord? And he calls her name again, and she realizes who he is. And when she sees him, she knows it is the Lord. He has died and been raised again in his glorified body. And when she sees him, she recognizes who he is. Later on in John chapter 20, he appears to the disciples. They know who he is. Later on, he appears to Thomas. Thomas immediately knows who he is. So you see, we have clear evidence that after death, we will know our loved ones and know who they are. Finally, John, in his great account, says when we see him, we'll know him. But here's the great thing. He says, we shall be like him, for we shall be as he is. Thanks be to God. We'll know our loved ones and we'll see them again, but it'll be a wonderful reunion. God bless you.